Hello, everybody, and welcome to the latest edition of City and Financial Talks, in which we interview one of the speakers at a forthcoming event. And today, I'm delighted to say we have with us Alex Beidas, who's a partner and global head of employment and incentives at Linklaters. Alex will be speaking at our forthcoming City Remuneration Summit on the 26th of March in central London. Alex, welcome.
Thank you very much. Nice to see you.
Good to have you with us. Obviously, there's been a lot in the media recently about the competitiveness of London as a financial centre. And I was wondering about your thoughts on the role of remuneration in this context. To what extent do you think it's a factor and how can we better encourage companies to list in the UK and improve the position of London as an international financial centre? And I suppose in particular, do you think the abolition of the bonus cap will help UK banks to attract more international talent?
So I think it definitely is a factor. People definitely look at our remuneration regime, and we have got a lot of rules on remuneration, which means that when companies are looking at IPOing here, that it is one of the things they think about. I often say to clients, the key thing is there is flexibility in the regime as it is. And actually, it's about making the case for what you want to do and not feeling like, it's one size fits all. So I think there's already quite a lot of flexibility that firms can try and use and make the case for. But we are seeing this, for example, in dilution limits, in terms of the number of share awards that are made to employees. Some companies are pushing the boundaries on that, and that has been accepted by shareholders in the industry. And we're also seeing, lots of debate about US pay levels compared to the UK. And again, when companies are competing for talent in the global market, then, again, they can make the case for it. So I think it's definitely a factor. You're right. The bonus cap is another side of this. So for firms in the financial services world, obviously, the UK is trying to show the benefits of Brexit. The government obviously got rid of the bonus cap. But firms are saying, well, that's one thing, but actually we still have the most onerous rules in the world on bank pay. We have 7 to 10 year clawback periods. We have long deferral periods for senior managers. So it's one thing removing the bonus cap, but actually we need to look at the other rules too. And so I think there's a focus on that.
Yeah, there was an interesting article in the Times today. I don't know whether you saw it, and it coined the acronym BRILO, British enlisting only, and it's quoting companies like Smith and Nephew, whose business is overwhelmingly not in the UK, but they have a UK listing, and talking about other companies in the same situation, and whether or not the UK's own guidelines for remuneration should apply to companies like that, where they may have started in the UK, they expanded massively, only a tiny percentage of their business, whether in terms of turnover or staff, is in the UK. I think it's those sorts of companies perhaps who might find it quite difficult.
Yeah, and there are lots of massive global companies listed in the UK, and I think it's absolutely the investors are realising that they need to view things on a global basis.
Yeah. Okay, turning to another subject entirely. The Treasury Committee report on sexism in the city published last week found shocking levels of sexism still exist. Sexual harassment and bullying are still very prevalent, and NDAs are being misused to prevent adverse publicity. How do you think companies should combat this from a remuneration perspective?
So it's just about accountability and making sure that companies actually have the right tools in place so that when things happen, that, when there's misconduct, when there are particular issues that are uncovered, that they can then follow through and, apply adjustments or clawback as needed to ensure that that sort of thing, does have a consequence. A lot of companies obviously have these tools, but it's about ensuring that they've got the processes in place that mean they will actually be able to use them in practice effectively and fairly and consistently. Because if you don't, then it can make it a lot harder to actually follow through.
Yeah, it seems to be a persistent problem, doesn't it? The FCA gave evidence to the Select Committee and made it clear that the regulator will take a keen interest in non-financial misconduct in all its forms and the treatment of whistleblowers. Have you seen any evidence of a change in attitude from the FCA, and how should companies respond to this?
Yes, the FCA are obviously very focused on this. They're asking firms to tell them about specific incidents and then what the consequences have been in terms of, on the remuneration side, in terms of
Yeah.
adjustment and clawback. And again, companies in this space have been subject to malice and clawback rules for, a very long time, 10 years
Yeah.
or more. So they've got the tools in place and they do use them, and we see them being used, in practice. But it's all about consistency. There's also obviously some issues in certain countries with actually applying malice and clawback. So sometimes, whilst the regulations might tell you you have to do it, you come up against employment law issues. So companies have got to look really carefully about how best to sort of structure all of these powers so that in practice they are actually able to use them. But they certainly, they're certainly set up to do it. And as I say, we do see it happening in practice, and it's just getting more focused than ever.
Okay, well, thank you very much for sharing your thoughts on those issues, Alex. For our viewers, we very much hope you'll be able to join us in person on the 26th of March at the City Remuneration Summit, where we'll be exploring these and many other topics in greater depth. So we hope to see you all there. Just remains for me to say thank you very much, Alex.
Thanks very much. Very good to see you. And I look forward to the event.
Thank you.